Good day everyone. Today's lesson in Game Programming 1 is all about the Unity game engine. The objectives of this course is to help you learn the fundamentals of Unity, understand how the game engine works, understand the game design concepts, create and build demos or game samples, and learn to deploy your projects to the market. Unity was released in 2005 and is a cross-platform game engine, meaning that importing visuals from other graphic design tools, such as Photoshop or Illustrator, is made possible with Unity. Moreover, the software focuses on the development of both 2D and 3D games as well as interactive content. Consequently, it can also be used for filming, automating, or gambling purposes. Unity also supports over 20 different platforms, but the most popular ones are for PC, Android, and iOS systems. Not only that, but it also provides a wide range of online instructional materials found on YouTube, GitHub, Unity forums, and many more. Now we'll move on to the installation and setting up of the game engine. In creating content with Unity, you need to have the game engine and the development environment installed in your device. To install the software, you must first go to Unity's official website, then you will see the image on the screen. From there, you should select Choose Your Unity Plus download, which will take you to the screen presented in the next slide. Numerous optional modules can also be downloaded to integrate Unity with Visual Studio and deploy the game to various platforms. Now, make sure that you are in the Individual tab, then select the Personal plan. This is the free version of Unity, containing all the core features needed to start creating and developing your project. Aside from Unity, it is also highly advisable to install the latest version of Visual Studio on your device. This contains more useful features that the standard Mono Develop environment cannot provide. Take note that Visual Studio is different from Visual Studio Code, so make sure to install Visual Studio to avoid further issues. Now, open the Unity installer and go through the process until you reach a menu for selecting the components or modules you wish to install together with Unity. Then click the Next button, follow the instructions, and allow Unity to be installed on your device. Afterwards, open Unity to be able to create your first project. Take note that you must have a Unity account and a license to get you started. To do this, go to License Management in Unity Hub, select Activate New License, and choose the Unity Personal License. Make sure that you are logged into your Unity account to be able to manage your licenses. Unity games, whether 2D or 3D, start out as projects before being considered a game. The image that you see here is the Projects tab, wherein all your Unity projects are stored. The Learn tab is where various tutorials are made available to users who wish to discover and learn more about Unity. In our case, we'll create a new project to get a sense of the step-by-step procedures in developing a game. On the top right corner of Unity Hub's window, clicking the new icon similar to the image above will take you to the project setup screen. The following image is what you will see afterwards. In our case, we will create a 2D game, and to do that, we will select the 2D template. Then, give your project a unique name, and make sure to save it in a directory that you can easily navigate to. Now for this example, we will temporarily name our project to be Hello World, and we can set our save location to the Unity Projects folder. You can also manually create a folder directory if you wish to do so. After that, click on Create and allow Unity to set up the core files that we will need in every newly created project. Take note that this may take some time, and its speed will depend on your device specs and the type of project you are creating. After the project files have loaded, we will be presented with the following image. This is the Unity editor, and for now, we will be concerned with 4 main regions. The green highlight is called the Scene View. Everything in your game takes place in this window. Together with the Scene View is the Game View, wherein you can see the preview of how the game will look like to the player. By default, it should be a plain blue background. The yellow highlight is called the Inspector View. This will become empty when there are no game objects present in the scene. Essentially, this region of the editor is where the properties of certain game objects will appear. This is also where you can see the public variables you have declared in your scripts, given that you have attached them to the selected game object. The pink highlighted area is called the Scene Hierarchy or Hierarchy View. From this window, you can see all the objects in your currently open scene, along with their parent-child relationship among one another. In creating a new project, Unity automatically adds a main camera object in the hierarchy. The cyan highlight is called the project's window. All your sprites, scripts, scenes, and other game assets as well as externally imported assets are stored here. It is a good practice to separate game assets into categories using folders. For example, audio files should be in an audio folder, scripts should be kept in a scripts folder, and so on to keep things organized and easy to find. The bigger the project, the more files that there are to be sorted out. Scenes are typically the levels in which all aspects of your game take place, especially the gameplay. You can also add more cameras to the scene, such as a camera for the minimap, or a camera for switching between first-person to third-person view. However, for this course, we will only deal with projects using the main camera only. The main camera renders everything that the viewport sees or captures. In a 2D project, the viewport is a square area wherein anything that is inside that shape becomes visible for the player. Using the Alt plus right click, you can pan around the scene view to help you find the game objects around your scene. The foundation of every scene are called game objects. These objects can be through the form of character models, various UI elements, and invisible objects like audio sources and script containers. For example, if we were to add a player game object to our scene, we can utilize the hierarchy to create an empty game object. We can then add the necessary components from the inspector view, such as a sprite renderer to store the image of the player, and maybe a simple movement script to move the player using the keyboard. Various game objects contain a set of components that describe their behavior and their reactions with other objects in the scene. Clicking on a game object will reveal its attached components from the inspector view. From there, you can also add or remove components to change or modify the behavior of certain game objects. However, there will always be a transform component for each game object. They cannot be removed because it represents the position, rotation, and scale of that object in relation to the game world or its parent game object, if there are any. Unity contains many kinds of 2D and 3D components that are useful in creating and developing games. From the inspector view, you can click the Add Component button to select from a wide range of options. Make sure that you are adding 2D components for a 2D game, and 3D components for a 3D game. Further in this lesson, we will also talk about attaching scripts to game objects, which can add more variety and life to the game. As previously mentioned, Unity has a wide range of 2D and 3D components that can be useful in handling physics, creating aesthetics, and generating stunning audio for the game. Some of these components include the renderer, for making objects visible in the game. The collider, which is essentially a boundary of an object. The rigid body, which generates real-time physics to the attached game object like weight and gravity. The audio listener, which allows the audio sources to be heard and is typically attached to a camera. The animator, which gives access to a complex system in animating and giving life to the objects in the scene. The light, which is pretty much self-explanatory, but will not be discussed in depth in this lesson. The following table shows the composition of Unity games. As you can see, a Unity game consists of various scenes or levels. This can be in the form of a title screen, the main game scene, or an ending credits scene. Next to that, each scene contains numerous game objects, each of them having a different and unique behavior. These game objects can be the player character, the enemies, UI elements, audio sources, etc. Lastly, the components, which defines how game objects will behave or react with others in the scene. They can be in the form of transform components, physics-related components, program behavior, audio-related components, and many more. Here are the references for this lesson. Thank you for watching.